Hey, what's up, guys? Before I go into this video on my honest takes of this game, I have to talk about some few things that I'm not going to mention. The world design of the game is amazing. It's very immersive, and everything has been done to an extreme level of details. If you look out the window, everything looks like I'm actually in this small world that we call, I don't even remember where the place is. There are a few things that I don't like, especially with the loudspeaker when it comes down to inside the house. When I should be walking to this, going to my room, I should be hearing what's on this loudspeaker. And in this, I should be able to select the song that I want to be using at the moment. And that's how this should be set up. I don't know why it's here and I have to go in here to do this, but every time when I come in the room, it should be that song that I select, the one that I'm hearing when I'm in this room. I think that's a little bit of a nitpick. And there's one thing that I really, really like about this game, and it's here. This is your DVD section. And what this does is it is a documentary of all of the story that you have gone through, and you can play back the story fully. You'll see all the cutscenes and everything. So if you miss a cutscene or something like that and you want to go back to it, it's there all the time that you can go in, and that's something that Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail don't do, and it's something that Honkai Impact Third does. But I'm happy that it is in here in this game. So now that I've said all of that, I can get to this video. And in this video, I'm gonna be talking about my honest opinions after playing this game for a while now. I'm a hardcore player, tryhard. I'm not an average player. I'm not a streamer. Streamers are not hardcore players. Streamers are just entertainers, and I'm not an entertainer. I'm not an entertainer. That's as plain and obvious to see. So I'll talk about the story first. The story, the comic book story like telling is nice, is innovative, and I really appreciate that. The face expressions when telling stories is great as well. It's pretty good. The TV system telling story is a bad idea. And why I say that is because when you're telling a story using the TV system, it breaks the immersion of the story, and it doesn't feel like you're actually doing what you're doing in the story. And that is not a good idea, and not a area that the company should have died on when doing this. I don't know. It falls under the developers being lazy. It's not something that, either that or they're saving space because they put all of the budget in developing the world and the ecosystem of the world and the graphics of the world, and they just didn't have any more budget for storytelling, so they just slam it in the TV, which is not a good idea in my opinion. And like on the topic of the TVs, it's gonna always be in the game no matter what. It's not hard if you're a smart player, and for a child it's gonna be a little bit difficult. And the reason why I say it's gonna always be in the game is because it's the main source of telling a story in the game. That's why it's gonna always be in the game no matter what. And it's your main area for like exploration. So it's just gonna always be in the game. You just have to live with it. If you're saying that it's not gonna be in the game in the end part, you're wrong. The only reason why it's not in the game in the end part of the game is because you're not doing the story at the moment. You're just doing grinding, and if you're doing grinding, you're gonna be doing combat. So it's like a misrepresentation of the statement. It's not that the TV system is going to be less when more you progress. It's that when you progress and complete the story, there's not going to be any more story to do, so there's no reason to go into the TV, and you're going to be mostly doing combat. That's basically what that meant. So that's about it. The combat, um, it's good on the player side. Like the combat moves and the intricacy of the players is amazing. the fighting style is good. They could use a jump button. It would have broadened the aspect of the fighting a lot more, but I don't know why they didn't implement it in the game. I have no issues with the kits of the players and how they fight and what nothing like that whatsoever. The issue that I have is not with the players at all. The issue that I have is the game have a bad way of giving you artificial damage. And how they do this is they have a structure like a laser that if you are in the area that the laser is, it's gonna shoot and damage you, and that is very bad. The mobs, small mobs, they do a tactic called artificial spreading of enemies, with the range enemies always making sure that they're not getting attacked by you so they can hit you in the back when you're fighting the melee opponents, which is a scummy move, but it's just artificially spreading and artificially damaging you. The laser enemies are one of the people that I have problem with too, because as soon as the laser touch you, you start taking damage automatically, and it's not a big deal, but to me it feels like um, it's a cheat to damaging your characters to make it look like a game is actually hard, when the damages that you're getting is not based on your skill but based on the game making things that are unavoidable and things that are they're gonna have to hit you eventually. And it's also an annoyance because it won't kill you if you have skills, but still it's very annoying. The free to play aspect of this game, there is no real reason to pull for characters. And hear me out. There's no justification for putting a 5-star unit. You can beat the game with a 4-star team very, very easily. Right now, I'm using the Doctor Disrespect team. I'll go into a little bit more details with this team. I'm using Corinne, I'm using Lucy, and I'm using Piper, the Doctor Disrespect team, if you know what I mean. And elements don't matter in this game until you reach the end game, where bosses will have elemental resistance, and that's the only time that you're gonna need to switch out your units because the enemy is resistant to this specific um, element. I don't know if it's a full resistance, if you can still do damage. When I reach that area, I'll test it out and see. But as far as I know, if you're getting difficulty in this game, is mostly because you don't understand a few aspects of the games, and you need to have a DPS unit. And a DPS unit is your unit that's gonna have attack, physical, at the right side here. It shows that this is a DPS unit, and also see the highlights in orange is the things that you're gonna need to focus on with this character. You're gonna want to focus on your attack. If your god damn it, if your character scales on attack, you're gonna want to focus on attack and then your crit rates and your crit damage. And the same thing for when it comes to your DPS unit. Your DPS unit is gonna be this. You're gonna want a stun unit, and you're gonna want a stun unit if your DPS is not strong enough, because you're gonna need your stun unit to basically immobilize the enemy so you can do more damage. And the stun unit is not something you have to use. It's just something that you're gonna want to use if your DPS can't do as much damage. If your DPS can do a lot of damage, now that is when you're gonna want an anomaly unit, because an anomaly unit is like a debuffer. So they're gonna apply debuff to the enemy, which means that the enemy is gonna take a lot more damage. So your attacking unit is going to be doing a lot more damage because the enemy is debuffed. And in your third slot, you're not going to want to use a defense unit. If you're using a defense unit, then something is definitely wrong. You're going to want to use something like a support. And like I use Lucy because she will give you attack percentage support. So she'll boost the attack of your DPS unit, and that's why I use her. So it's basically simple. You just need one attacking DPS unit, one anomaly unit. If your DPS is strong enough, or if your DPS is not strong enough, you're gonna want to use a stun unit so you can immobilize the enemy more, so you can do more damage. And then you're gonna want a support unit that's gonna boost your DPS. And that's just basically all there is to developing the team. And as I say, you don't really need to follow the rules of you need to have this element and that element yet, unless you reach the end game where the enemy has a specific resistance to the enemy. And I have not tested this out yet personally. If I don't need to use the required element and I can still clear the content, if I can still clear the content, then that would be really good. And I think they will go that way, given the fact that this game is mostly focused on a casual based environment. I think they'll make it so that even if the unit is resistance to the specific element, you still be able to clear that unit, which I think that is good, I guess. Okay, so how do you know if your DPS is strong? If you're fighting in the VR area to farm materials and you last 30 seconds, your DPS is strong. If it falls near to a minute plus, then it needs a little bit of work. I don't use the boss as a reference because you need a good sample size to test how far your DPS is, which my DPS is Korean. So it gives you a good amount of sample size so you know if you need to develop your DPS a little bit more or if you need to just use a stun character or something like that. Very well right now. Um, you can make the game artificially harder for yourself, like I have done, where you can make sure that your characters are under level going into battles. You can make sure that you don't have any CDs equipped to your characters, and but it's not a solution for hardcore content. It should not be on me to make the game harder for myself. I have to lower my level of my characters and all that kind of stuff to make the content hard. There should be the owners of making hardcore content should be for the developers themselves to make that hardcore content. And in my suggestion, I believe some ways they can make this hardcore is not to increase the HP of the enemies, but to make the movement of the enemies more dynamic and make the enemies attack a little bit more faster. I think having these two things will make it great. It can be very hard. It can be very hard. You can have an extreme challenge mode for the hardcore players that is very hard where the normal players can't handle it. And I know people are going to be complaining about how that game mode is too hard and stuff like that. So you can make it same way, and you can make the rewards be the same, and the hardcore mode not giving us anything, and it's just a challenge for us to get stronger. I misplaced that. It's just a extra challenge for us hardcore players that want the adrenaline rush. Don't put any additional achievements toward this so that people won't feel left out that hey, this hardcore mode, because people are challenging and getting better rewards, I feel left out. I think it's more than fine. I can say, or at least for me, that I much prefer a hardcore mode that doesn't provide any more additional experience points rather than you as a developer not putting it in because you don't want people to miss out, because you don't want them to think that yeah, they're missing out on additional rewards. I honestly believe that for me. And you can answer this in the comment if you are a hardcore gamer as well. If this is a problem for you too, if you would much rather to have a much challenging game mode with the rewards being the same as if you cleared as a normal level, but something that you yourself personally can challenge and say that, oh, this is where I'm at my level. This hardcore mode is more challenging for me, but it's more fun. I don't see any way that this is damaging to have this in the game, honestly. The last thing that I don't like is you can't get to use your character in the overall as far as the end game is concerned. And that is that sucks. To admire them, you can just go to the character selection and pretty much pulling a character feels no different than not having the character. As the difference between both is that you can use it for 30 seconds in combat and you can't, because here, this is Corin, the character that I have. I can look at her and I'll see her like this. These are all the animations that I can see from her. And this is the character that I don't have, and I can look at her still and I can see her moves right here. And the issue is, if I want to go in the overworld now, I can't use the characters that I currently have. So I can't look at them like how I'm looking at this character right now and I see, oh, this character look like this and stuff like that. In order to do that, I have to go into a whole combat mode just to look at the character and stuff like that. I can't run around my character that I pull for and say I want to play with a football. I can only play with the football with the MC, which is not good. I think this is something that can change in the future by the developers. So this is something that is subject to change, but I don't like the I don't like this feeling. It kind of demeans the purpose of pulling for the characters to begin with, because there's no reason to use it other than in combat, and it sucks. And I know many people talk about the story mode, and that even in the story mode you don't get to use your characters. You can use your characters in the story mode, because there is an option in the bottom left that you can select that will switch to use your actual characters that you have rather than the specific selection of characters that the story will give you. So that's a nothing statement, actually. um the last thing I want to talk about now is who this game is made for. And if you are actual hardcore player, esports level player, try hard like me, and this is not for you. The game bosses is just not complicated at all, and that is going to be a huge turn for many hardcore players. And there's no hardcore mode for players to play, so it's not there. It's not there for a hardcore player. If you don't have an incentive to stream this game, then there is no reason for you to play this as a hardcore player. There's no challenge to it at all. If you are a streamer, it is good for you to turn off your brain and play. You don't even have to be talented to play it, and you can make your audience think you are actually good at the game when it is just easy, and the main audience won't know, because the majority of players are not going to sit through the TV system for end game content to know that, yeah, this difficulty level that you say is difficult is actually something very easy. It's just that you don't understand the tactics of the enemy. And I'm calling out Mr. Pokey on that when he was struggling with the construction unit. It's just that he didn't know the streamers are not as talented as people say they are. They're just entertaining, and that kind of confuse a lot of people. Really, can't use the sit. I can't use the setting anytime I want. That's not good. I can't sit down when I want. I I can't sit down anywhere. Okay, this is not good. This is not. I can't go in the bed when I want. Okay, that's not good. That's not good. For a normal person that has the space on your gaming platform and you want to look at furry, lolly, or big boob girls in the game, just I guess it sure is good for you, or you can just go to Rule 34 and it take up less space, honestly. And I will stop messing around. This game is targeted to people who are antisocial and don't have friends or girlfriend or boyfriend. A- and and it's just as a life simulator or a sim game, something you insert yourself in the world, meet new people, run your DVD store daily, and hang out with friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody is extroverted and have friends and stuff. And if this game can bring happiness to those players, I am happy for it. Actually, I'm not against that whatsoever, and I think that is the niche they're going for. And I think that audience is a lot of people because really and truly, a lot of people are antisocial nowadays, and we fail to communicate with people. We don't know how to communicate with one another, and everybody's just inside their house, stuck inside their house, not going out, not meeting people, not doing anything. And I think this is good for that, but actually bad at the same time because when uh, people like this now have this kind of game, it's gonna force them to not want to go out of the house at all anymore. And I think this is not the way we should be going as a society. We should be encouraging people to go to events and talk to each other and actually communicate and gain real friends in real life and both online, and stop this distancing between people and stuff like that, because it's really not good for the world moving forward, in my opinion. And at the end of this video, I'm kind of sounding like I'm running for presidency or something like that, but honestly, I have a lot of friends in real life and in the online space, YouTube space, and a second channel that's bigger than this. And I understand my audience and how people are online. Most people online don't even talk to people in real life and stuff like that. And I don't think this game will help with that in terms of helping them talk to people. It will drive them further down a dark cave of, why do I need to go outside when everything that I want to experience in life is right here? If I want to game, I can go and game here. And if it comes to the point where this game allows you to go and visit other players and stuff like that, it's gonna get even worse because people are gonna be able to come into your world and go hang out, and you guys would go to the gaming arcade, you go to the cafe, you go to the noodle restaurant right here, and then you start having dates in the game and stuff like that, and it will make people start having awkward relationships and stuff like that. And boy, it does not look good on a social aspect for me. Overall, I think this game is a failure for what it was advertised as. It's not a hardcore combat game by any means. It's a watered down version of Wuthering Waves. And if this game had came out in 2017, right after Honkai Star Rail, it would be a huge success. But because it just comes out right now, when you have other competition like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Wuthering Waves, and others coming up like Azure Familiar, the standard have changed drastically from 2017 to 2024 now. But as I said, I do believe that this has an audience. It's a very niche audience. And do I think Zenless Zone Zero will fail? No, because it's going to maintain a level and it's going to always be at that level, and it's going to slowly rise. It's going to have a dedicated audience. It's not gonna have an audience that's gonna completely build and skyrocket like how Genshin Impact and Modern Ways and Honkai Star Rail have done. It's gonna have a dedicated fan base that will be comprised of the furry community, the lolicon community, and the degenerates like me that love to look at big boobs after a while, and the casual players that just want something that are not really good at gaming and want something that will make them feel like they're actually good at something and give them happiness playing this game. And I will give the game props for going for that audience. And I think many people will like the game as casuals, but also I would really love for extreme hardcore mode to give me something, to give the hardcore players something to enjoy. It, as I said, I don't want it to bring any new rewards to cause the fear of missing out in players that are not good at the game and they think like, I'm not good at the game, so I'm not getting this reward that the hardcore players are getting. I completely understand Hoyover's tactics beyond that, and I think they should implement it that way. But I'm worried because they complain about the TV system massively. They complain about Nicole's boob nerf massively, and they did not walk back that decision. And they say they walk back the TV decision, but it's a lie. It's just that they maybe they have shortened the TV experience, like how long you spend solving the puzzle, which I think is a good idea. I don't know because I didn't play the beta test. I didn't play it at all, so I don't know how it was before it, and I didn't watch the beta test either because I didn't want to spoil my expectations for this game. Because I'm not coming at this game from a place where I'm hating it, and once you critique this game, many people think you're hating the game. I'm not hating the game. I was really looking forward to the game because it's a my name is DJ. My name is Degen. I love the degenerate side of gaming, and there are some really hot characters in this game, and some really hot characters that are coming. But apparently, I only keep pulling for children. I don't know. They think I am Doctor Disrespect or something. It's that's my thought. I think if you have the space, if you're willing to play it, you can play it. Don't play it too much. Don't make it the main game because you're gonna burn out very fast. Make it the game that you come on for like a 30 minutes and play a little bit of it and then come off. Do your dailies, and walk around, engage with people, and then come off. Because if you try to rush through the game, as many people are telling me that I have to rush through the game in order to make a review on the game, I have seen videos of content creators higher than me that says the exact same thing that I am feeling right now currently, and I think that justifies that enough. I don't need to go and play the entire game to make a review on the game because that's not how reviews work. There are things called first impressions, and it's a very valid thing. And not because one bald guy on the internet says that people have to play the game X amount of time before they have an opinion on the game means that he's right. He's not always right, and the only time he ever walks back something is when he get a lot of shit from his community that what he did was fucked up. It is what it is.